So teamwork is important. So this is social skills. Time management, that's organized.
Time management.
Delegate. You have to be good at delegating. Yeah.
Who's the best person for this?
So you're not doing the whole thing yourself, flexible.
Yeah.
Flexible, that's really good.
What other skills? You have to be a good communicator.
I'm trying to think of a term of somebody who, like you can see abroad.
Subject matter
What's it, like you can see the vision, but you're one of the visionary.
Two more
Yeah.
seconds.
And to be able to, because some people can't, you can't. We talk about you start with the goal and you start with the end of the movie, but if you don't have, do you know what I mean? Because for me, like I always look at bridges, it's like how did they visualize that? You know, how did, like engineers, it's like how did they visualize?
So let's come back together as a large group. What were some of the skills that you felt a project manager, an effective project manager needs? What were some of the skills? Yes?
We need to know the scope of the project, that's a knowledge piece.
Knowledge, exactly. What are some other skills that a project manager may need in order? Yes?
I put social skills because you have to be able to deal with a variety of people
Yes.
effectively in order to get the vision.
Exactly. So being social, being able to pick up and knowing how to relate and communicate with people, others. Sure.
Time management.
Time management. All right. Time management. Project managers need time management. Anything else?
Leadership skills, because you have to bring people to work together.
Yes. Miguel said you have to have leadership skills because you have to be able to bring a diverse group of people together to work on the success of a project.
I think this would fall under social, but just being able to be engaging, to kind of pull people in, make them really interested.
Exactly.
Keep their
Engaging
attention.
or inspiring.
Yes.
Inspiring them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Project manager needs to have the ability to inspire others.
Problem-solving skills.
Problem-solving skills, that is like really high on the list because we know that oftentimes in projects, problems come, and so we have to be solutionists, being able to solve those problems. Solutionists. Great. Any other skills that a project manager would be very helpful for a project manager? Yes.
I put, and I'm not sure if this is the right word, but a visionary, because if you're going to start with the end in mind, you have to be able to.
You have to be able to see it. Yes, so visionary, being able to vision and see beyond where you are, actually see at the end of where it is that you want to go. You may not know all those steps in between, but you know where it is that you want to go.
You also have to be flexible.
Oh, that's good. We have that.
Because you may have to change course and adapt, and you may have budget changes or resources changes, and you have to be flexible.
Exactly. Yes. And organized. Flexible and organized because, things will come up and you will need to shift. But also organized and being able to systematically kind of think about what needs to happen next. I can imagine a project manager, if you will. Can you think about the clown or someone who's juggling, how they juggle all these balls, and you think of it, he's like, oh, they have all these different things to juggle. But that's exactly what a project manager does. All those skills that you guys just mentioned are the things that a project manager needs to be able to do. Great. All right, so what we're going to do, we talked about that. So here's what I want you to do. You kind of got a glimpse of the phases of project management. On page 8 in your manual, on page 8, you'll see there's a diagram there with 5 slices of the pie. So your challenge is in 57 seconds to meet with the group at your table and decide which of those phases go in the in the box. Now, I've started you out by giving you the first phase, which is the initiation phase. So you have 57 seconds in order to determine the next phases in order. It's going clockwise. Clockwise.
Okay, I got it.
I just know the first two, but yeah.
Planning.
Initiation.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So do you execute it, monitor it?
Initiation is one.
Planning.
Planning.
And planning.
Execution.
Yep.
Performance.
Yep.
And closing.
I don't know.
Planning.
Good, honey. I think we're right.
All right, 5 more seconds.
I think execution
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
3.
and monitor performance.
All right, so what's phase 2? What'd you guys come up with phase 2?
Planning.
Planning. And how about phase 3?
Execution.
Execution. And phase 4?
Performance.
And the last one.
Close.
Close out. Close out. So these are the 5 phases of a project management or the process of project management. And all of these are very, very important. And so what we're going to do over the next couple minutes that we're together is that we're going to talk about each of those phases. So let's begin, and actually you can turn to page 9 of your training manual.
That's cool. I like it.
Let's begin, and you feel free to take some notes. The initiation phase, and some of this may be reviewed because you guys have already talked a lot about this through our discussion. But the initiation phase is the beginning of the project. It's when the project actually starts. The idea, this is where the idea for the project is explored, and it may be elaborated upon. Really, the goal of this phase is to examine the feasibility. So you're thinking about the feasibility, whether or not this is actually possible. The next thing is that decisions have to be made about who actually is going to carry out the project. So who will be the leader of the project? Not only who will be the leader, but also who will be involved with executing the project. The current project or the prospective project leader is usually the person who writes the proposal. So this is the proposal. This is that scope of work that Greg was talking about a little bit earlier. They're usually the ones who write that out. But oftentimes you know that sometimes that doesn't happen.
Okay.
So the prospective sponsors are the ones who typically, they will evaluate the project proposal. So the sponsors would be like perhaps your boss, or maybe it's a funder, someone like that. They'll evaluate your plan. You told them that, you know, you're going to provide for them a service, or there's something that you want, something that they want you to do. They're the ones who actually will evaluate and say, okay, well, based on what we were thinking and based on what you provided for us, your scope of work, yeah, we think this can work. It is only after the sponsor signs off on the project that the project should officially begin. So what are some of the reasons you think that that would be a really great thing to not start the project until the sponsor has signed off on it?
Well, especially if funding's involved,
Yes.
need the money first.
You need the funding first, okay?
And the support base.
And the support base.
Yeah, otherwise you're doing spec work and then utilizing resources or wasting resources
Exactly.
without any funding.
Exactly. So think about a project. Go ahead, Miguel.
But then the sponsor approval is telling you that the project is aligned to the mission and the goals of the organization.
Exactly. So the project the project plan, project charter, there's different terms that are used. Project plan, project description, scope of work, those terms are always used interchangeably. But as Miguel was saying, you want to make sure that all of that is solidified so that you know that you are aligned with what the organization's expectations are. Great. So here are some questions that you can ask yourself during this phase. Why this project? I know a lot of times I've been on projects and I've tried to understand, why are we doing this project? What is the significance, or what is the meaning of this project? Also determining whether or not it is feasible. So you probably have been given a task or an assignment, and you begin to think about it. You scope out the work and you be like, no, we can't do that. This is not feasible. So those are some of the questions that you have to ask in this early stage, in the initiation stage. And then what should be the results? Greg was pointed this out, and also Sammy, about the outcomes. Making sure that the outcomes of what it is that you are producing, that it actually aligns with what the funder, and also aligns with the scope of work. And then we all know this as scope creep, but what is in scope and what is out of scope? Because a lot of times when we get projects, as we begin to get involved in the project, we recognize, oh yeah, we could do this, or we could do that. And sometimes you have to say, okay, is this really within our scope, or is this out of the scope of what we've been charged with doing? So just some things to consider with initiation. Yes?
So maybe something you haven't thought of that's necessary to complete the project gets added, so that would not be out of the scope of work, right? It just would be a course correction or some type of being flexible. Or whatever.
I think you have to kind of approach that very carefully, because there could be some things that could be in scope, and you could bring an idea that may make that, whatever that is, more efficient. But then you have to determine